Bottom left of the map, we have our Star Tail Terran player. Man with a lot of history. He's studying Redinators, of course.
Star Tail Bomber.
I have to tell you something in a second.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm sorry. Let's just introduce our Protoss player first. We are on Whirlwind, of course, and to the top left we have starting for Azubu, the blue Protoss player.
Azubu Genius.
You know, in between those two matches, when the 1.5 hour game ended, I had a quick glance at Team Liquid.
Oh yeah?
And do you know how after every single game they have this follow-up, do you recommend this game? And it's like, yes, no, and then the third option, if you have time.
I wonder, was that one winning?
I have no idea.
Everybody should vote for if you have time.
I certainly hope so. that is so awesome. You know, someone is not checking the video length. It's just going into the net, looks at the ball, it's like, I'm gonna do that, I guess.
He's like about to go eat lunch. It's his lunch break. He's like, he just sees that the winning thing is if you have time, and he's like, a lot of people think, you know, just if I have time.
I can squeeze that in.
And he's like, I've just got enough time. I certainly could tune in and watch just game number 1 before I go on my way.
Oh my god. Sorry guys, but that just blew me away.
He like puts only game number 1 on his tablet. He's got like a short little subway ride or something. He gets really mad when he gets to the end. He like rides the subway twice because he just wants to see how the game ends.
I can certainly see that happening. It was a cool game. It was a long game. It dragged itself out a little bit at the end. One could argue one of the players could have attacked a little bit earlier, but it was a very interesting game. And a great opening for our group today. Bomber versus Genius is another amazing match that we have now, and we are in Whirlwind, as mentioned. The expansion for Genius is being built here, and now we have a Bomber with the expansion on low ground, getting into additional barracks, and he's a player that is really known for a gasless barracks play in the beginning, and oftentimes very, very aggressive with it.
Yeah.
Building a lot of barracks, getting a Marine force out there, trying to do some damage and surprise his opponent, and then just going into his tech.
Yeah, he oftentimes goes up to the 4 barracks. We've seen him go 5 a few times. That's kind of fallen off a little bit in Korea, especially with these newer, bigger maps like Whirlwind. See what he has in mind. So far, only the 2 barracks. Genius, on the other hand, also went Nexus first, and we'll see what his plan is as a follow-up. He is the most unpredictable Protoss, I think, in the world. He's gone through Void Ray addiction. You know, he came out of rehab, but ever since that happened, I feel like he's still scary. He could Void Rail on you, you know, go back to his old ways, but he might just go for a Nexus cancel 5 gate. He might go for a 6 gate all-in. He might go for +2 Archon charge Zealot. You have to be careful. He could also go for the late game.
Talking about this Void Ray addiction, do you know how in Heart of the Swarm they called the abilities for the Reaper now the combat drugs and everything?
Additional
Terran is just getting that's just a bunch of druggies. That's nothing else anymore. You have Stim, they're stimming hard each day, now the Reapers have their combat drugs. It's getting a little bit weird. I don't know what kind of message Blizzard is telling us here, but...
They're getting addicted to the medevac healing as well, you know. It's kind of like antibiotics. You know, that suddenly the Reaper has a headache, he calls the medevac pilot, he's like,
in
listen,
half
can you help me out?
All the Terran players look like really pale and unhealthy.
Yeah.
Can I get a Stim?
Potentially, man.
The Marines died of the golden Stim.
Eventually,
no medevac around.
Start getting drugs for like siege tank pilots. That could be a bit much, but
yeah.
We'll see what Genius has planned for a 3rd base. He's got really nice coverage to block SCV scouts right now.
We have him with his Robo now, and you need, of course, the robotics just in case your opponent is going for a Banshee play and has Cloak. This is one of the things that Blizzard tries to change with Heart of the Swarm. They want to have a few more options for a Protoss player to reveal units, and the Mothership Core right now is one of the options that you have in the game, because they realize that Protoss is a bit too... they have to focus very much on this Robo. If you don't get the robotics, then you take a huge risk, and it's sometimes what will lose you the game. So they try to open up different paths for Protoss players to approach, and also give them the ability to just get different tech paths going and a little bit faster maybe. But right now, you still depend on the robotics. This is what Genius does here. He gets the robotics out there. We have him with the first Observer leaving the base and then straight into the first Immortal.
I really like Genius's coverage because we talked about this already from the beginning. Bomber loves to put Marine pressure on, so he has SCV blocker scouts from the beginning the 2 stalkers, one on both high grounds, so he doesn't even scout to see which position that bomber's at, but he's like, either way, your SCV's not going to see my Nexus. Then he has the watchtower, and then when he moves the Marines out, he can also see that no matter what, with the watchtower and both high grounds, he was able to see which direction bomber came from, so that told him what position to send his observer, which he sends now. And Genius, during all of this, is going to take a hidden expansion to the bottom right.
Bomber had a chance to take down the observer with a scan, but I don't think he had the energy. Maybe
he
he even didn't see the observer, but this is of course now really good for Genius. He sees everything that's happening in the main base, has all the information. He's the one who goes into the double forge, whereas Bomber started his own upgrade and gets a bit of a lead. I love this expansion at the bottom right. I really love it. This is just so sneaky. And we have scouting going on for Bomber now, so is he actually gonna scout this? So far, it doesn't look like it. Genius has this. I actually thought I said Bomber earlier. Has the expansion at the bottom right. It's of course a Protoss player.
He checks all the bases except the one at the far bottom right.
Oh, but we have a probe train to the bottom right, and if the Marine sees the probes, then. Well, what did the probes do?
They stop for a second.
The probes are, I think, related to those. Oh wow. To the Colossi we saw in the last game. Yeah, he sees all of them. That is so unfortunate for Genius, but it's great for Bomber.
He immediately moves his army down there, but this is a great chance for Genius to intercept him in the middle of the map, since he knows as well. He hides the probes. Well, actually, no, he decides to send them. He stopped them for a second. Now, here comes Genius. He got the watchtower.
Did Genius miss that? Did Bomber miss that?
Miss the probes?
Yeah.
I think he knows, but Genius is just ready for him, and he knows he can't actually fight. But he knows also at the same time, Bomber checked, and he saw that Genius doesn't have his normal third. So Bomber's like, well, if you're just going to take a weird third to the side, and I already have my third, I don't really need to risk it, you know?
There's the Marine. Okay, finally. I was like, okay, why don't you double check where those... No, he actually doesn't check. He only sends the Marine out to have a bit of a forward unit that sees if Genius is trying to attack from that angle. I'm not quite sure if Bomber really spotted those probes on the minimap.
It's possible he didn't.
That would be awful for him.
You would think that the decision to not move out with his ground army is pretty smart. It's like, oh, okay, he has a base, I also have a third. But to not send a drop at least, or like you said, one Marine just to make sure, is a little bit weird. Because even one Marine could get several probe kills with STEM.
I don't really think he saw it.
I guess you're right, man. He did not move his Marine when he saw the probes. He just walked by.
That's very unfortunate for him, and if he really loses this game because of the expansion of Genius at the bottom right, I think he will be very upset with himself for not spotting it on the minimap. Must have been distracted at this moment. But now we have Bomber moving out. He is on his way to get the +1 attack upgrade. He's going into armor. We have Genius though with the chrono boost on his forges, getting the next wave of upgrades, and his range for Colossi is nearly done.
He needs to get concussive shells as well. That Marauder having some trouble on the Zealot chase here. And Genius is actually moving out with a large army. Bomber thinks that he is ahead in economy. You know, I initially thought he decided not to attack because he was like, well, 3 base versus 3 base, I'm fine, but there's no way he knows. He would have definitely sent something over there.
He has now a couple of units at the right side, just 3 medivacs and a few Marines and Marauders. He's looking, he didn't find anything yet.
He's going to miss it again with this current path.
What is he? He's just double checking, I guess.
He's looking for
pylons, exactly.
Yeah. And he's gonna miss the base.
Oh wow. Genius, you are very... I mean, he's taking a calculated risk, but it pays out for him. Those Marauders are on a path that will lead them to the base, I feel. We just saw it by Legend, but I don't know if they really... Are they still rallied to the bottom right? No.
They go like this here. They go just below the ramp. They don't actually go and check.
Oh, wow. That is so unfortunate for Bomber. But great for Genius. So let's see how he's going to deal with this. He's pulling his SCVs now. He's trying to go for it. This is a very strong attack, and Genius is currently in a position where he has less supply. It's 130 against 86 army supply. And of course, those SCVs also lend their strength and deal as a bit of a buffer. He's moving in and tries to take out those Colossi, and they have to run away. The Colossi are not even shooting. He's losing the first one before the battle actually starts. And here comes the entire force of Bomber trying to go up the ramp.
He should force this out. He doesn't have force fields, actually. He used double Guardian Shield by mistake.
And now Genius is in trouble. Bomber has still 40 supply, and he drops the Mana Mules, and he takes the army of Genius down. Everything is going down. The Protoss player has to GG, and this is game. Bomber doesn't scout the base at the bottom right, but when he starts to attack on 3 bases with his timing, Genius just is not ready.
Yeah. That was definitely...
It was a very interesting game.
Yeah, it was just kind of Bomber taking a big attack there, and Genius, I think, didn't realize how heavily Bomber was going to commit. And if he had just force-sealed it back and waited for more units, even if Bomber kills his quote-unquote third, he already has that hidden third to the bottom right that he can rely on.
That was very... For Bomber, that was definitely a game that was very, very dangerous, because if he decides to go into the late game, then suddenly he will be so far behind because of this expansion at the bottom right. So Genius with a very good decision here, but just the timing that Bomber was going for was exactly when he had the opportunity to take Genius out.
Yeah, that was pretty risky for GS initially, but Bomber fans were probably freaking out a little bit watching that one, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of these games where Genius takes a risk and it nearly paid off. It would have done so well in the late game, but the timing that Bomber hits is just too good and hits him at a spot where he was the weakest, where he was just about to capitalize from this added economy. Now we have our third game, though. We have the first two victors in this group, Jan and Bomber, the two Terran players with a lead. And now it is time for the third game of the day. Bial versus SOS.
Bial versus SOS indeed. There they are. Our only Zerg player in the group and our only Casper player.
Yep. A lot of people expect great things from both of them. Bial, when he was in Fnatic, was in the end the backbone of the team. He did so well in GSL for them. And then you have the Casper Protoss player. You have Shy, aka SOS, a player that is very, very strong that a lot of people look forward to observing today. Tosis actually being one of them. He really wants to see how he is going to approach this. And
really
it's a Tomb Valley.
Yeah, Tomb Valley, a tough map for Bial. You know, when you're the only Zerg player in the group, you got to play against a bunch of pros, and your first map is Entombed. It's like, I guess I'm just unlucky. Let's see what happens, though. There's a lot of different strategies SOS could use. I feel like SOS being a Kessel player, someone who's a little bit newer to StarCraft 2, although that argument's almost irrelevant, I think that he probably won't be able to use some of these really crisp timings on Tomb Valley, so we'll see how that works out.
SOS did really well against all the Pro League Zerg players that he faced so far. Just to list a few that he played in the past few weeks. He won against Hydra. He lost against Hydra. He won against Real. He took down Action. And he also took down Shine, for example, in Effort. Shine being the player that he had to face in Code A. But he lost against Sniper with a 2-0. That was the season when Sniper went on to claim the title. So now he finds himself in Tomb Valley faced with Bial, a player that has a very strong history as being a great player for Team Fnatic, now for LGIM. And his win ratio against Protoss is very strong. He has a 60% win ratio. Not a lot of games, though. Yeah. 12 wins, 8 losses.
Not too many.
Yeah.
He's kind of been... He was one of Fnatic's top players until he switched over to LGIM, and now staying in the booth. He had some issues with his PC. That's why we were in the loading screen for so long. That's why the Golem Wizard had to make an appearance there. But Tomb Valley is the map. It is loaded up and ready to go. I hope you guys are ready at home. It's time for our third and final set of the first 3 games here at the Up and Down to decide where the players start things off in the group. It's Bial versus SOS. I am Wolf. With me is Kaldor. And I think we are ready to jump into the game.
We are good to go indeed. Zerg versus Protoss and Tomb Valley. Let's get things started here at the GSL Up and Downs. We are in Group D today. Another group tomorrow. Who's going to advance? Will the Protoss players do a little bit better than yesterday? Will we have 2 of them or 1 of them advance to Codes right away? SOS could be one of them. He has to take out Bial first, though. Let's get ready. The game about to start.